Do any of the witnesses disagree with the statement that a prerequisite, a non-negotiable requirement of any of these programs, whether it's the special immigrant visa program or the parole program, should be the safety and security of the American people? Anybody disagree with that? Mr. Baker, in 2024, your office issued a report stating that the Department of State could not confirm the number of individuals evacuated from Afghanistan. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
What we do know is about 80,000 of these individuals, this unknown total of individuals evacuated, that 80,000 of them were paroled into the United States. Mr. Adelman, you mentioned the fact that parole, this authority of the executive branch to allow people to enter the country who would otherwise be inadmissible, is supposed to be decided on a case-by-case basis, correct?
Correct.
And would you agree with me that the categorical issuance of parole, whether it's to the Afghan nationals or to the millions of people the Biden administration let come across the southern border, is an abuse of that authority given to the executive branch? In other words, it's not on an individual basis, right?
Each individual who entered parole through parole was inspected by CBP, and ultimately that process leads to the parole of that individual. I can't speak to whether the grouping of individuals is against the policy.
Well, when you're letting tens of thousands of people into the country, whether it's across the southern border or from Afghanistan, and you're not doing it on an individual basis, then that, according to your testimony, which should be done on an individual basis, it's not being done. Would it be fair to say, Mr. Baker, that the level of vetting required under the special immigrant visa program that you testified about, that Senator Padilla mentioned, that vetting process was far more stringent than what was required by the Biden administration for Afghan parolees?
Senator, yes, I think I would agree with that. However, I would caveat it by saying we have not looked at or have oversight responsibilities for the parole program to compare and contrast.
Mr. Baker, look, if you could sort of set the scene for us. So we don't know how many people were evacuated from Afghanistan. All of us, the image of people trying to jump on the C, I guess it was a C-130, coming out of Afghanistan, out of Kabul, will be forever burned in our memory. But we don't know how many people were ultimately evacuated. We do know that the Biden administration's is granted parole outside of the special immigrant visa program to about 80,000 individuals. But how in the world can you properly vet an individual if they don't know their date of birth? I mean, the fact is, Afghanistan has been a war-torn country for a long time. And basically the Taliban, a terrorist organization, allowed Al-Qaeda a foothold in Afghanistan. And obviously we know how that turned out on 9/11/2001. But is there any surprise to you, Mr. Baker, that not only we don't know when many of these people were born, that we actually don't have any records whatsoever, one way or another, about these individuals?
I think our work has shown, Senator, there is in fact a high level of identity fraud in Afghanistan for documents. And with respect to the special immigrant visa program, which I can speak to more directly, there were significant staffing gaps at the embassy. About a third of the consular positions were vacant prior to the evacuation.
Yeah, I believe you mentioned that earlier. Yep. Do we know where these people are, the 80,000 people paroled? by the Biden administration, the Afghan nationals, Mr. Adelman?
A number of them have applied for immigration benefits.
Do we know where 80,000 of them are?
I can't confirm that we would know where 80,000 are. I would defer to the
Do we know
department.
what they're doing?
I would defer to the department who does the monitoring.
Does the United States government know whether any other Afghan nationals admitted by use of this claimed parole authority have become radicalized?
I would defer to the NCTC and the department.
And while we're focused on the untimely death of this National Guardsman and the assault against her compatriot, we have no idea whether there will be future attacks against the American people or plots like the one that was stopped by the FBI and shortly thereafter in Fort Worth, or how many of them were radicalized, have become since radicalized since they are in the United States. So I'll finish where I started. It is a non-negotiable requirement, a prerequisite, that whatever visa program, whatever parole that any president might grant to foreign nationals, that first and foremost, we have to be concerned about the safety and security of the American people. Everything else is secondary. And that's what this hearing is about.